Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've covered this week's X-Men books. Now it's time to move on to this week's Spider-Man books. Just kicking these off, we've got Miles Morales Spider-Man number 12. Where we left off, Spider-Man was working alongside Blade and his daughter Bloodline, dealing with an ancient energy vampire who had been who is on the loose in New York. Blade had a means of imprisoning him, and while the ritual was being going on, Hightail showed up to bring in Spider-Man, interrupting the ritual and freeing, and basically causing Lord Rhymer to be free. Rhymer ended up turning Hightail, realizing that with her powers, she could probably get him up to back up to full power real soon. So the issue opens. Rhymer sends Hightail out to basically, bring him to help him get to where he needs to be. But while Blade is in favor of just killing Hightail because she's been turned, well, Spider-Man, though Miles, is still Spider-Man, and yeah, so he's going to try and save her. So while Blade and Bloodline deal with Rhymer and his goons, Spider-Man tracks, basically hitches a ride on Hightail with a webline, and begin to follow her, hitting her with a venom blast through his webline at one point, and also doing what he can as she turns a few people, making a point of basically webbing them into place to protect everyone else. He ends up having to basically, he talks some shit to get her to focus on him, and then hits himself with a venom blast to hit her. It temporarily clears her head, and in part of this is because Spider-Man's kind of thinking that, hey, with her being a speedster, she's probably got a really fast metabolism, so it's probably working out. It's probably fighting off the vampire infection. But it takes, after a minute, it takes to take back hold. Eventually, but Blade manages to do the incantation to trap Rhymer around the time that Spider-Man manages to return with Hightail. But everyone's back to normal, and Blade gives Spidey a ride back home, but well, there are other villains that are beginning to they're going to be involved in a much bigger story that Miles Morales is joins into next month. Hobgoblin. But that is where the issue ends. I really like this story. I kind of had this sinking feeling, especially with the current Blade series, completely ignoring Bloodline, that Bloodline was basically just going to be pretty much just in the Bloodline miniseries that wrapped fairly recently. But it was nice to see her pop up for a few issues here in Miles's book. Also, it was nice to see Blade. In some ways, I kind of, as someone who's been a fan of Blade's since, honestly, before the first movie even, in some ways I kind of feel like I got spoiled by Blade having been in Jason Aaron's Avengers run until Aaron wrote him out to just be the sheriff of Vampire Town. Anyways, moving on to our next book, though, we've got The Amazing Spider-Man Gang War: First Strike. Remember how I mentioned Miles Morales will be joining a major storyline starting, technically this month now. This is the story. So, first, let's see. Yeah, we actually have a map of showing who controls which territory in New York. So, where we left off for Amazing Spider-Man, in the lead up to Gang War, there's been something of an uneasy peace among the crime bosses of New York. The peace became much more uneasy after the wedding of Janice Lincoln, daughter of crime boss Tombstone, which was crashed by the hitman Shotgun, who shot Tombstone and actually managed to, penetrate the skin. Tombstone's skin is bulletproof. And Hammerhead seemingly blew up Madame Mask. Hammerhead also hired Shotgun to show up and at least try and kill Tombstone. Currently, Tombstone is hospitalized and recovering. Janice and her fiance Randy Robertson were not married, so yeah. Randy has been advocating for the repealing of former New York Mayor Wilson Fisk's anti-vigilante law, and current Mayor Luke Cage is finding it to be not exactly an easy thing to feel like, yeah, okay, law's gone. So, the issue begins. The various crime bosses are meeting. The Owl wants to know who forced him out of Red Hook. It was Hammerhead. Hammerhead has in fact been orchestrating strikes against the various bosses with his men impersonating the henchmen of rival bosses, basically to get everyone pissed off at each other. Turns out Crime Master has an alliance with AIM. One of the recent tensions that's been had some gasoline poured on it by Hammerhead was between Lady Yulan and Mr. Negative. Meanwhile, Diamondback wants to claim Harlem. However, Harlem is Tombstone's here. Tombstone ain't dead, so just have to wait and see. But Tombstone's daughter, Janice, shows up, basically claiming her father's seat at the table. And Hammerhead has an idea of how she can truly earn that seat by killing Randy Robertson. So, elsewhere, Spider-Man is dealing with the frictionless villain Slide, with an assist from Miles Morales. The two of them do manage to take down Slide, and in fact, Peter discovers Miles' Venom sword. Afterwards, though, Miles kind of makes a point of telling Spidey that, telling Peter that, hey, you've been gone. You ghosted everyone for months, and things are getting bad. Adding also that, that Mayor Cage has been trying to draw support to, potentially repeal the anti-vigilante law, and he wants to get Spidey on board, and Spidey's aware of this, but he kind of blew that off. But Miles reminds him, great power comes great responsibility, and well, Peter admits that Miles is right. Randy Robertson lets Mayor Cage know that there's he's holding a rally in support of of his attempt to repeal the Anti-Vigilante Act. The idea being to hopefully get it on as a ballot measure. Hammerhead is waiting to see if Janice actually follows through on killing Randy, but and basically, accuses Randy of thinking she's nothing but a thug and a killer, but then he says, that he doesn't think that of her, but you know, whoever sent her, however, does, but Janice can't kill Randy. However, Tombstone figured that would be the case, and some of his men show up and open fire on Randy. Spider-Man shows up at the mayor's office and learns what happened to Randy. Is the hospital. Hammerhead explains his plan to his new girlfriend, whom he met at whom he met shortly before Janice and Randy's Boston wedding. And she attacks him with, she really beats his head in with an adamantium femur. Turns out that after blowing up Madame Mask's car, Hammerhead kept her mask, and, well, the girl he's been seeing? Funny thing about Madame Mask. No one really knows what she looks like under the mask, You know? Hammerhead didn't know, but he's been seeing Madame Mask. But Janice shows up. And explains that Hammerhead's been setting stuff up. Been setting up all the bosses, and, well, now it's time for Madame Mask to knock them down. And so all the bosses, all their goons are loose in the street. New York erupts into open gang warfare as Spider-Man's talking with Robbie, and Robbie's basically, hey, look, you should, this is your thing this is the kind of thing you're supposed to stop. You need to get on this. But as I said, while they're having their chat, New York erupts into open gang warfare. Beetle makes a point of telling Madame Mask that she's claiming that Harlem's hers, and anyone tries to take it is gonna have to deal with her. Spidey goes to talk to the mayor and basically says that it's bad out there, it's putting lives at risk. All of them Spidey's go out fast, and he's gonna be doing a lot of superheroing, and he doesn't want any distractions. And so the mayor says, "Hey, I'll keep the cops out of your way." But Spidey corrects him, saying, "Not his way, our way, because he needs a team." And that is where the issue ends. And just who is going to be on that team? Well, that's where our next book comes into play. Next up, we've got Gang Wars, Spider-Woman. Yeah, Spider-Woman's going to be on Spidey's team. So, recently, Spider-Woman was cut out of existence and removed from the web of life and destiny. However, the Spider managed to restore all those that were removed via Moran's magical dagger. However, something seems to be missing when it comes with Jess, her son. So the issue was in the Bronx. Jess is fighting Armadillo, and she mentioned a list of all of the all of the Hydra trainees that Taskmaster's trained. But Armadillo swears up and down he didn't take her kid, and adding that despite how he looks, he's not a monster. And he has been trying to go straight, which I'm glad that they acknowledge that, because too often when a villain, especially a B or C lister, takes a face turn, other writers will just ignore it, just because, hey, well, I need this guy, so yeah, he's got back to crime. A prime example of this was Radioactive Man, and part of that was also just that before Dark Reign, Radioactive Man was sent back to China and was no longer part of the Thunderbolts. So it was easy to just yeah, okay, he's back to being a bad guy. Meanwhile, Diamondback has it aligned with Hydra. Hydra basically has taken a drug formula that Diamondback had, and refining it, make it for repeat it's useful for repeat business. Back at Jessica Drew's apartment, Jess's best friend shows up, Carol Danvers, and points out she kind of disappeared, and she wants to know. Jess tries to hint to Carol that her son is missing. Carol doesn't get it, but she also asks Carol, hey, look, this is how you can help. Make sure that all those massive Avengers level threats are not my problem. But Carol talks to Julia Carpenter, Madam Web, and it's just and Madam Web states that she'll be shadowing Jessica, though Carol has her own threats to follow. But Madam Web adds that the web of life and destiny has endured much. They thought it was repaired, that all that had been lost had been restored, but there's still something missing. Jessica Drew's son. In the financial district, Jess goes to a swanky club, but it's a private party being held by Diamondback. She bursts in, starts kicking Hydra ass, but Well, Diamondbacks alliance with Hydra has also led to him having a new henchman, the Green Mamba. Basically, it's a Hydra goon in an armored suit. But some of Diamondback's new goons take Diamondback's new drug and which gives them powers briefly. 3 minutes later, all 5 of them are down and Jess is still standing. She runs into Spider-Man and Spider says, "Hey, there's a freaking gang war going on. I'm building a team. I want you on it." And she's like, "Okay, cool, but Diamondback's mine." And that is where the issue ends. It's nice seeing Jess back. Apparently, this is. Apparently, I think this might actually be a start of a new ongoing for Jess. We'll find out. I'm pretty sure it's not just a miniseries, but moving on though to our next book, we've got, like our last book for the moment, we've got Gang War Luke Cage #1. I added the Gang War part on Spider-Woman, so I think maybe I'm off with that, but yeah. So, Luke Cage is the mayor of New York, elected after he defeated Wilson Fisk, but he still has to deal with Wilson Fisk's anti-vigilante law. So, we open with with the mayor giving a press conference about the state of crime in New York. It's up over 39%. Armed robbery and violent crime have been the highest uptick. Getting new cops, getting also a new Thunderbolts program, a leaner, lighter Thunderbolts program. Some questions are asked, and Robbie Robertson asked one, but Robbie's former boss, J. Jonah Jameson, has his own comments. With apparent, JJ thinks that that seems to think that this whole thing going on with a brewing gang war is all to in the hope of challenging the Anti-Vigilante Act. But the mayor says, as mayor, he swore to uphold the law. The Vigilante Act is currently law, or Anti-Vigilante Act is law, and will be respected as such. But Danny goes get some lunch with, or Luke goes get some lunch with his old friend Danny Rand, formerly Iron Fist. But there's a bank robbery occurring, so the mayor shows up. Figure he's gonna, as the mayor, he'll step in. However, he saves some officers by punching a cop car in two. Takes a few shots from the bank robbers. About to go in, but one of the officers stops him, saying, if you do anything, I'd have to stop you. He's not happy about it. However, one of the bullets, it didn't break the skin, but he felt it. In fact, Luke thought it had broken the skin. Apparently, though, it's coated with adamantium alloy. Luke talks to an old contact and learns that it seems to be the skill involved requires someone like, say, Alistair Smythe. He then goes to an old acquaintance to make him a new costume, which the costume it's got those big 90s low-grade, street-level superhero vibe to it, which it works, but seeing it first, you're just like, oh god, really? But Luke goes to investigate Aleister Smythe's lab, runs some guards. They take shots at him. He makes an exit and realizes, though, that they're not following him. And so, he's got stuff to think, something's not right. Aleister Smythe was watching and kind of wishing his dad could see the whole thing. In Hell's Kitchen, Luke runs into Cloak and Dagger, who are dealing with Smythe's goons. Cloak takes two of them into his cloak and realizes they don't have any fear. They seem like people, but they're clearly not. And Cage recruits Cloak and Dagger to his own team. I'm guessing this is taking place after the events of Fall of X, seeing as how, as far as I know, Cloak and Dagger is still all technovirused out thanks to Vulture. But that is where the issue ends. I'm looking forward to how this plays out. It's nice seeing Luke get his own book again, even if it's just like a 4-issue miniseries, but still, Cage hasn't had his own book in a long time and hasn't really been the focus of much in a while. So, it's nice. It's nice to actually see him, in action. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.